Welcome back to Mid-Ohio Valley Now. Let's wrap things up with Ben Rutherford and Kadeen Ritter from Veritas Classical Academy in Marietta. You mentioned fundraisers. That's one way the school is funded. Tuition is another. What determines how much tuition is each year for the child or for the family?
That's a good question. We started when we opened the school with a little bit lower tuition, and then we graduated that just a little bit last year, and so we're going to hold steady, I think, for the foreseeable future. A lot of that depends on certainly the costs of running the school itself, the operating costs and maintenance costs. The actual budget for each student, what we spend on each student, is really not that very much. I'd say it runs about $2,000 or $2,500 a year per student. We have just found that you don't need a lot of money and a lot of bells and whistles to offer a really great education. And so we don't have a lot of those things that you might see in the bigger schools, but they're not needed. So that helps keep that cost down. And we have those 2 fundraisers a year, and those are the only fundraisers that we have, and then the tuition helps support that.
In other words, we're not going to be seeing the Veritas football team anytime soon.
No.
School choice is something that a lot of people on both sides of the debate don't have a fully fleshed out concept of what it is. When they come and see a layout like this, and when they come and see what you've done or hear about what you've done, what are some misconceptions you think that could turn around? I'll ask you both a question.
The folks who are the most idealist about school choice and school vouchers believe that school choice and a truly free school choice system, that leads to innovation so that you have more schools like ours opening up and therefore competition. The fallacy, or at least the drawback or the problems are several. School choice by itself isn't a silver bullet. Okay, we have compulsory education in this country, so every student, every child must go to school. We have 50 million public school students in the country today, and only about 33,000 private schools in the country. We can't fit them all. And so unless you're going to find people who are innovative, who are willing to spend the money, and who understand what a good education is, if you have those people willing to go to every city and town in the country, you can't possibly provide that compulsory, great education. So we're leaving a lot of folks behind when you talk about school choice or school vouchers being the one single prevailing end-all be-all silver bullet, the answer to the problem. You're still leaving folks in the inner city behind, the folks in places like McDowell County, Porras County, West Virginia, with only one private school serving 37 students out of 3,500 in that county. It's just not enough, and it won't happen fast enough, assuming you even have good schools opening in those areas. But what it does do is, of course, it allows the student to the extent that he has a choice, a good choice, that allows the student to move to that school and receive a great education. It is a good thing when there is a good choice. If there is not a good choice, then you're still stuck.
I want to ask Ben what your thoughts are on the idea of school choice. Did Kadeen basically sum it up, or what misconceptions would you like to clear up about private schools and school choice?
Central to any choice in a school system is going to be the end that the school is focused on. What's its purpose? What's its mission? What's its function? There's been a continual refrain or mantra that is college and career readiness. If the end of all compulsory schools is that common end of career and college readiness, then you're really simply being asked to choose between vanilla versus chocolate or strawberry. It's just some sort of whim based upon taste. Now, Kadeen was mentioning a good choice. So that good choice is really informed by the mission of the school. If you get the mission wrong, I don't think you end up with a very good choice. So our mission begins with the cultivation of wisdom and virtue. Those two unique human qualities that we have an intellect, that we have a will, and that we have to exercise those in a free society. When you place college readiness or economics as the end, then you forget about one of the reasons why it's compulsory. We want to make citizens. We don't want to make employees. And so if you're making a decision, hopefully your decisions are informed by the ends that school focuses on.
What are the long-term plans for this school?
It's a good question. We will finish our rollout first and foremost. So we will go pre-K to 12. We'll make sure that we have a solid foundation, and then we'll respond to the growing demand for the school based upon decisions that are made in-house.
As far as what's a good time for people to apply to this school, for people to have their families apply, is there a good calendar, or a good calendar?
Better than later. It's a blessing and a curse. On the one hand, we've had a tremendous amount of interest, and we just received our first check, actually the other day, for the 2020-21 year for deposit for one of our students in pre-K, which means that student is 3 or 4 months old now. So anytime is a good time, but sooner is always going to be better than later. I think the success that we've had is a reflection on the values that we prioritize here, that we are focused on academics and that we are focused on the development of one's character. So soon. Now, please apply quickly.
There's no calendar time of the year where you have to. You can make that decision at any time, is what you're saying?
Yes. Yeah, we do a rolling admission. So we always are looking for good applicants, folks that we know will be an excellent addition to our school, either in the upper grades or in the lower grades.
I'll ask you this, website and the phone number to find out more information.
Veritas Classical Academy, veritasmarietta.com, and our phone is 740-885-2033. So veritasmarietta.com, 740-885-2033.
I'll finish up by asking both of you this. Why do you believe in this form of education?
It's the only one that I really see that fulfills one of the central pieces of our preamble to the Constitution. We talk about the pursuit of happiness, a happy life. That kind of life requires that you be wise and that you be just and virtuous. And so our society depends on it. Not only our society, but our individual happiness as we pursue it depends on it as well.
And Kadeen, same question. Why do you believe in this form of education?
It has a track record of success. It is what formed the Western tradition. It is what formed the education of our founders, our country's founders. A lot of people forget the third founding document of the United States, and that's the Northwest Ordinance that specifically deals with the very area that we live in. That very document requires that religion, morality, and knowledge, in that order, being necessary for, number one, good government, and number two, the happiness of mankind shall be encouraged. We're given those instructions, and we've fallen far, far from that. We've moved away from that model, and that is a model that our founders knew was good for raising citizen leaders and virtuous people, happy men and women, knowledgeable and educated. And so we simply look back through history and find that that is a model that made us the greatest nation, and we want to offer that to not only our kids, but anybody in the community that is willing to embrace the mission of our school.
Kadeen Ritter is one of the founding families of Veritas Classical Academy in Marietta, and Ben Rutherford is the headmaster. Both of you, thank you so much for your time. It's been an enlightening discussion, and thank you for letting us into what it is that you guys do and how you operate.
Thank you.
Sure. Thanks a lot. Thanks for coming in.
That's our time this week. I'd like to thank our guests, Ben Rutherford and Kadeen Ritter with Veritas Classical Academy in Marietta. Thanks again for listening. I'm your host, Eric Little. We'll talk to you next week on another edition of Mid-Ohio Valley Now.